This is the exact supplier backend breakdown behind their 2 million euros a month fashion dropshipping business. And in this video, I'll explain you exactly how I find, test, and analyze suppliers for our Google Ads dropshipping business. As you can see here, we currently process over 1,000 orders a day, so finding and having a good partner is very important. So this video, whether you're a beginner, whether you're already experienced, you will learn from it and you will have some things to work on moving forward. But first things first, why is having a good supplier so important? Well, 95% of dropshippers have shitty ass quality and shitty ass delivery times. And this is something where you can very easily already separate yourself from others. So, as you might know or will know, when you ship someone shitty ass quality or you have delivery times of 15 days, no one will do repeat purchases with you. So your customer experience is so bad, and I swear so many people are really not thinking about this in the long term. But obviously you want to have a long-term business here, and we're all here for having long-term money and a long-term business. So you really need to work on the quality. And even though it's not always easy when you fulfill from China, there are some things that you can implement to increase the quality and increase the delivery times. So as I wrote down here, your net margin depends so much on your supplier. You can do 500k as revenue, but if you have a shitty ass supplier, at least 10% will go back straight into refunds and disputes. And I've seen so many people fall down from this and not recover from these problems. So you want a long-term business, you want to work with a long-term supplier. That's your partner, right? Because you're growing, you need to give feedback to them and you need to rely on them, because the supplier bills we're having right now with the payment terms we're having right now, it's multiple 100k payments every time we pay them. So make sure to know that it's so important to have a good supplier. Otherwise, you can already stop with this business model because it will not work out in the long term. Step 1, you need to decide whether you want to start working with a platform or with an agent. And I have a small breakdown here, but at the end of the day, a platform like CJ Dropshipping, AliExpress, stuff like that, it's way more easy to start working with. So it's very available for everyone, and it's kind of easy to get it synced with the store. So I guess that's why people do it. But for me, I will always point towards an agent. But let me break down both of you. So platform like CJ Dropshipping, what you can do, you make an account and you already see a lot of available products, their available prices, the full information, and this is very suitable for beginners, right? Because you only need to make an account and you already have access to so much products. Often you will not get a direct contact or someone to talk with, or at least until you are on some decent level in terms of volume, but your delivery times are unstable as well, right? Because even though you work with a platform that has already made some selection in products for you, they also need to source it. They get it from different manufacturers. And when you cannot talk to someone directly about a product, then you will not know whether it's available, what the exact shipping time will be. And yeah, it's just very hard, but you can also already know the refund and return policy. Like, they are often very transparent here. For quality checks, CJ Dropshipping, yeah, people can say what they want, but I don't believe that they will have better quality than I have with my agents. But I know some people who scale on platforms instead of with private agents, and they seem to be happy as well. So this is more like a personal dilemma you should think about. But for me, I'll always go to or point to a private agent. Why? Well, first of all, communication. And this is throughout this whole video, for me, the most important aspect. Having someone to talk to and having someone to ask questions to is so important for me, and it's rather more important than anything else. Well, obviously shipping times, quality are also in the top 3, but you know what I'm saying here, you know? So what you will get with a private agent, it's often a WhatsApp group or a Slack channel or a WeChat group, but they will make a quote based on your products, and you can really negotiate your needs. Okay, if you're shipping to a certain country, you can already start talking about, like, I want this amount of processing time, or what is the time you can give to me. And obviously you need to think about this even with a private agent. Okay, you get a direct contact, but you need some quantity before you can start negotiating. But we will get back to that later in the video. But with an agent, you have this direct contact, and for scaling and brand development, this is way more accessible, right? So it's often hard or harder to get access to a private supplier, because most of them work with MOQs, which stands for minimum order quantities. That means that you can only start working with most private agents from having 5 orders a day or 10 orders a day, some even 30 or 50 orders a day. But even if you're still at square zero, there are some private agents out there that you can still work with. And you can always join our free Discord and ask to get connected with a supplier. We will do that for you. We have suppliers with 0 MOQ, with 5 MOQ, with 30 MOQ. So based on your current level, we can help you out there. Just for free, just to help you, you know? With an agent, you can estimate the delivery times way better because they have certain patterns, they have so much data that they can actually start procasting, you know? With the return and refund policy, also for an agent, it's more direct. So most of the time you will get their basic refund and return policies, but when building some volume, you can start negotiating this as well. Also, with a private agent, you can request way more things like quality checks. You can really ask them to provide quality checks, provide you pictures, provide you videos. These are things that I don't think CJ Dropshipping will start doing to you. Also, when you're growing, you can start building more like a brand. You can start with some more private labeling, white labeling, some custom packaging, stuff like that, you know? So long term, I would always say a private agent would be better. If you're just starting out, it's so important that your items get delivered. So if you don't have any agent to work with, just start with a platform. It will do the job, but just keep in mind that in the long term, you want to work with a private agent, or at least that's my opinion on this. For me, a good supplier needs to tick these 4 criteria. As I've said before, communication and truthful communication, so they don't lie, they don't make up excuses. If something's happening, you're doing business, so every day something can go totally wrong. So you don't want to hear any excuses, you know? You just want to hear what's going on. If something's wrong, if someone fucked up, you need to know so that you can act on it. You don't want someone who's lying in your face because that will not work long term. A good supplier also meets the promised delivery times. I see that I wrote teams here, obviously I mean times. And with that, we want to be always around the 10-day mark for shipping from China. Well, when you're just getting started and you're not having bestsellers, it will be a little bit more difficult because they need to process, they need to source it, they need to find it in China, they need to get it from the manufacturer to their warehouse, and then they need to do a quality check and ship it. So most people will be around, I would say 12 to 15 days, but the more you're growing, the more data you have, the more you can start getting this down, these delivery times, and this will like instantly in a finger snap increase your customer experience. A supplier needs to do quality checks on their end. Obviously, when you have hundreds, if not thousands of products on your web store, it's impossible for you from Europe to do quality checks. So you need for them to do this for you, and you need certain SOPs in place for this. As I've mentioned, what we do for a quality check, and this is like a whole other episode, but let me dive into it really quick. What we do for quality check, we let them send a size chart, we let them send a picture, a video of the product, and the fabric information. A good supplier also needs to have marked conform prices, but obviously when you're on volume, a supplier can really negotiate with you because the more you save on the prices, the more you can invest in ads, the more volume. And that's what you all want. So this is something that I really want to highlight. You want to build a long-term thing here. You're not in here to just start negotiating from the first day. That's not how to do it. Okay, step 2. How to validate and test supplier. So, first thing I do is all the products that I'm selling, or at least a few of them, maybe 10, 20, 30, something like that. I send them the URL and I ask for price quotes and I start comparing. You need to make sure to hear their delivery times, but you want to start purely comparing on prices. If someone is already €2 more expensive on the same blues, yeah, that's not gonna happen, you know? Then you want to request their workflow. How is it going with the quality? What are their policies for refunds and returns? What is the shipping times they can offer? What is the MOQ they need you to work with? So as soon as I confirm these 2 things, which is mainly the most important for me, obviously I will also always talk with other people on their experience. But once they meet these two things and it's looking bright and good, then I'm gonna order 20 to 50 pieces, purely a sample order. And this is something I think a lot of people don't do, but what Brian and I do, we just let our girlfriends shop on our website, let them order like a bunch of clothes and just get it delivered. Because you cannot just choose a supplier based on reviews you hear from other people or based on someone you get referred to, because people will make some money on you. So you always want to have a sample order, check the quality yourself, and that's what Brian and I do. We just let them shop. We don't give a fuck. Buy whatever you want. And as you can see here, this is a picture of my girlfriend. Obviously, I blurred out her face with a jacket that was ordered at our supplier, you know. So she ordered like 4 or 5 jackets because it was still winter time. Now, obviously, with summertime coming, we'll do this again, or it's already in process. But as you can see here, this is just decent as quality. This is good. Like when it arrived, I was like, okay. I was very impressed because it was like it was arriving with custom packaging. It was arriving at like Massimo Dutti quality. So I was very, very satisfied with this. Obviously, I've also had test orders where I was very dissatisfied, where the sizes were absolutely nowhere near what's true and what it should be. So always do at least one time per 3 months a sample order of 20 to 50 pieces, not 1 to 3 pieces, because the chances of it being like you will not have enough pieces to really make a good analysis. So make sure to always order big as sample order. And when you are after this, like fully confident that they will do something good for you or that they will be a good partner, you want to run one store with them. If you're having one store, if you're having multiple stores, you don't want to switch like a finger snap immediately from your current supplier. No, you want to start testing and validating and getting feedback from customers as well. Ask your customer service like, okay, store 1 is with supplier A, store 2 is with supplier B. Ask your customer service, okay, what kind of complaints are we getting from store 1? What kind of complaints are we getting from store 2? And how, like, what's the difference? Is it sizing issues? Is it quality issues? And you start to move forward from that, all right? So what most people will do is they only have one store, and then obviously you will also start with that. But yeah, you need to get the customer feedback in as well so that you can communicate with your supplier moving forward. And that's something that I really want to highlight here. Don't expect a supplier to do exactly what you want from day one. This is a partnership that's long term, and you need to give feedback just like with your employees. They're not A players from day one. You need to give them feedback. You need to give them, or you need to tell them what's good and what's not good. And moving forward, after a few months, you will have like a very good partnership. I can confidently say that I trust my supplier with all of my heart, with all of my money, and they will not try to screw me over, because you need to be aware. A lot of suppliers also just want to screw you over. They will charge you extra on your orders when you're not looking, you know. When they send the daily bills, there will be all of a sudden a few extra orders that are not even in the Shopify system. So these are things that you also need to recheck. But I can confidently say, after working for almost a year with our current supplier, that I trust them fully. And yeah, red flags, we've talked about this before, but lies and excuses is the first thing. Like if a supplier is lying to you or giving excuses, you really need to run away as soon as you can. Like they just want to screw you over and get your money then. Also something you want to check in the parcel panel, for example, that's an application. We explain it as well in the previous videos. But when an order is at the information received status for too long, this means that the supplier hasn't shipped it yet. He has fulfilled it. He has added a tracking link in Shopify, but it's not shipped, or there's an error. And when a lot of parcels are at this status, that's when you actually start to have a problem, because your supplier might be screwing you and he's not actually shipping it, or he's taking way too long to ship it. He can't handle the volume. So that's important. Take that into your mind. Step 3, once you've changed from your supplier to a new one, you really need to calculate your margins and pricings again. You need to recalculate all of your bestsellers pricings with the new supplier. All suppliers have different prices, and even though they might be in line, sometimes a little bit cheaper, sometimes a little bit higher, you really need to know all of your own data. You really need to recalculate every single margin of your bestsellers, especially when you wear having bestsellers already or having volume already when you were switching. What we do, 3.5x our cost of goods is the bare minimum that we want. This means if a shirt, for example, costs around 10 USD, we will at least sell it for 34.95 USD. More likely even higher, but you need to also stay like within the market prices. So if it's too high, it's impossible to sell it, even with Google Ads dropshipping. But yeah, that's something completely else to cover. But you really want to be around 3.5x minimum to really catch up with hidden costs like returns and refunds, disputes, reshipping for lost orders. Sometimes it's the supplier who should take the accountability, but sometimes it's also on your end. So there are a lot of cases where you will have money being put out of your pocket again. So having good margins is so important going forward to cover these. Otherwise you will feel like you're making a lot of money, but the back end and your balance on your account with your bank will actually not grow. And these are often the most three things or the most common things that are really getting money out of your pocket again. So you really need to cover these hidden costs already in your margin and calculate. When you're scaling, this is the moment when you want to start renegotiating prices. As I've mentioned before, this is not something you do immediately. When you're at 1 order a day, for example, you don't want to start negotiating prices. The 20 cents you will save or can save is not going to be worth it. But when you start being at 10, 20, 50, 100, 300, 500, 1000 orders a day, these are the moments when you want to restart or you want to renegotiate prices. And we negotiate prices fixed and variable discounts. And this is something that might be a hidden nugget, even if you're already having a good supplier that you might not know. A lot of suppliers give this variable discount, right? Okay, yeah, on your bestsellers, if you sell this X amount of times the product, then we can actually give you a 50-cent additional discount on that product. But what we negotiate always is a fixed discount. So for every order, we get X amount of euros. We save X amount of euros, we get X amount of euros discount. And if they even include multiple pieces, we get an additional discount. So what does this mean? And I'm gonna use fake numbers here because I cannot disclose the actual discounts we get. But let's say you're having 50 orders a day, you can easily negotiate 50 cents of every order discount. And if the order includes 2 pieces, you can even get 50 cents on the first piece and even €1 on the second piece in this order. Why? The shipping costs increase when there's a second item, but they don't double. So your supplier gets more margin if you're having multiple items in one case or in one order. So that's something you can also get a little small piece of, and get it as a discount. So also when scaling, increase communication and contact points. Currently we have around 4 people full-time working from us from the supplier. It started with 1 contact person and now we grew to 4. Obviously, don't expect to have 2, 3, or 4 people working for you if you're doing 10 orders a day. They can easily manage it. They can easily manage multiple people. But when you start feeling like it's getting very busy for the contact person you have from the supplier, that's when you want to highlight to the CEO hey, maybe it's time to add a second person here because I'm getting very slow responses. Our volume has gone up, our volume has doubled, tripled, whatever. We would like to have some more contact points in the chat. So that's something that you want to do. Also, custom packaging, and this is something a lot of people underestimate. You can increase customer experience and customer journey so much by just having custom packaging. I'm not gonna go too deep into this, but this is one of the sample orders we ordered. Obviously, I highlighted our brand name, but imagine getting just a zipper bag with nothing on, and it's looking very shitty quality. The clothes itself, the zipper bag, the plastic bag around it, it's just not a good feeling, But when things arrive with the thank you card, with the custom packaging, it looks very branded. And this is where people actually start flipping okay, maybe the item was on the way for 9 days, but this brand is actually a brand. It's having a thank you card with a discount code. It's having this, it's having that. So it's really increasing the customer journey, and don't underestimate how important this is. Also, when scaling, you want to improve the quality check flow. But I'm not gonna go too deep into that because this is only for people who already do like a lot of volume. But you want to start actually getting data on low quality items. When your customer service is getting like 10 times the same ticket about the sizing issue about the same product, this is something that you need to talk to your supplier about, and maybe they can give you the size up or change the label, things like this, things like that. That's how at the end of the day you really build a business that's long term. And even though you're still fulfilling from China, you're still having quite a long delivery time. If the quality is all right and you really spot these trends, this is where it makes a difference between a customer who is not satisfied and a customer who is actually happy and might buy again. Like by accident yesterday, I was looking through our customers. We had customers on one store who had spent 7,000 euros across 15 different orders with us. And if you think about it, that's insane. That's where the actual margin is, because you've converted them once with ads, but the actual margin is when you reconvert them with just emails or them just starting to build brand loyalty, you know? That actually costs you zero or like very like only pennies compared to having ads and finding new customers. So very important aspect. And the actual impact of this on your Google stores, you will notice it. A lot of people are only online with for 1 or 2 months with their Google store, and that's mainly because of the bad quality. Because as you know, the Google Merchant Center is the heart of your business. And if you ship bad quality, this results in bad customer experience. Bad customer experience results in bad reviews, and bad reviews results in your Google Merchant Center being suspended, or aka your store going down and being useless going forward. So just by increasing the bad quality by maybe even 10%, you can already live or let your Google Merchant Center live for a few weeks extra. So don't underestimate this, don't sleep on this. So that was it. If you think this was very interesting and you want to learn more, we also have a paid group. It's called the Inner Circle, and we really focus on Google Ads dropshipping. And we have around 50 plus videos in there, right? But we go even deeper into what I've talked about now. So the supplier agreements you need to make. Think about payment terms. Think about discounts. Think about SOPs, product quality checks, how we do it and how you should do it. So if this is interesting for you, make sure to check it out. It's only a monthly fee and you can cancel it anytime. So yeah, you might want to check it out if it's interesting, if you want to take your business seriously and scale your Google Ads even further. But if you've liked this video, please leave a comment, drop a like, and make sure to subscribe to our channel because we're dropping some value here, right? And one more time, look at this. It's just beautiful Massimo Dutti journey. And this is something I'm very proud of, and I don't think a lot of people can say this, but I can very confidently say that we just ship very good quality on 95% of the orders. So, guys, that was it. See you in the next video. Ciao.